Hey guys, a quick update on the emergency statement by the new Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, on the mini budget that's only announced about 3 weeks ago. Over these last few weeks, it has been an absolute disaster from an economic standpoint in the UK. A series of bad decisions around unfunded plans, unfunded tax cuts, and many other decisions that followed led to complete market collapse in terms of confidence in the UK. Essentially, the UK was made to look pretty incompetent in many ways. And those decisions effectively led to the mortgage markets completely just falling apart. Rates going through the roof, products being withdrawn, the pound declining in value against the dollar. So many things have happened, and we have all felt it in our pockets. Everybody has been left in fear and worry about the future, really because of the decisions that a handful of people have made, and we've all had to pay for it. So I wanted to make this video to respond to what has just been announced, the various changes that have been announced, and in summary, pretty much all, except for two of the key measures that were announced about 3 weeks ago, have been completely reversed. Okay, so I want to just use this video to share what those are, one after the other. So I'm going to start with, just looking here at my notes, starting with income tax. So there was a plan, it's an announcement in the mini budget that the income tax was going to drop from 20%, the basic rate, to 19%. That's been completely reversed. That's not carrying on any longer. We were expecting this to kick in from April, but that's not proceeding any longer. And in fact, the words that were used by Jeremy Hunt, if I had to find them, were that the rates were going to remain at 20% indefinitely. Very interesting choice of words. Next is looking at national insurance. That is one of the key announcements that were made before that will actually remain. The cut in national insurance that was expected, we expected an increase in national insurance rates. Those are expected to remain as announced previously. Corporation tax, there was a move previously to stop corporation tax rising to 25% from the basic rate, from the usual rate of 19%. That has now been reversed, and that was actually announced a lot earlier, but again reiterated today. So we're expecting corporation tax to go up to 25%. Dividend taxes, the announcement previously was that, you remember, connected to the national insurance announcement, dividend taxes were expected to go up by 1.25%. Then it was announced that they were then to be cut, almost abolishing that increase by 1.25%. But again, if you're trying to keep up, again, those announcements to abolish almost the increases in dividend taxes have now been reversed. Looking at energy bills, and this is an interesting one. Energy bills, we obviously had the energy price guarantee where we had this supposed cap at £2,500, and of course there is no cap, but you get the point. There's a supposed cap at £2,500 per annum for 2 years. This is a key thing, for 2 years. However, on the announcement from the new Chancellor, the support will not change apparently up until April 2023. So we've only got 6 months thereabouts from now. And then from then on, there's supposed to be this review of some sort. So where we thought we were like sorted for the next 2 years, and this marked a big piece in people's, finances. A lot of people felt reassured in that for the next 2 years, there was some measure that existed. But now there's a big question mark that has been put as far as that's concerned from an energy price perspective. Let's talk mortgages. Now, with mortgages, we've obviously seen mortgage rates just go completely nuts in the last few weeks as a result of that mini budget. Now, a lot of mortgage companies will likely still remain on edge, actually, because although markets and the reaction from markets, and the markets received the news from Jeremy Hunt really well, so government bonds, stocks, borrowing costs, the pound, all reacted fairly well, but a lot of mortgage companies will remain on edge, because although the signs are looking good, a lot of those companies will pay very close attention to what's going to happen with the Bank of England, okay, which their announcement is expected on the 3rd of November, for us to see what's expected to happen. Obviously, with what's happened in the last few weeks, we expected a humongous hike in interest rates. We're likely not to see that huge hike in interest rates, but we will still see, because inflation hasn't just vanished into thin air. In fact, if anything, things have been made a lot worse, and now we're starting to try to fix the catastrophe that we'd experienced in the last few weeks from an economic perspective. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens, what the expectations are. I personally expect it to be near at a 1% hike, but again, there are still some question marks as to how the Bank of England might react to that. But the good news, actually, on the back of these conversations, and to be honest, I don't even think there is a good news from what we've all been experiencing, but more generally, it seems that for the first time, the government are actually speaking to these other independent organisations like the Office of Budget Responsibility, the OBR, the Bank of England, and it would appear that they are now working together in the interest of the economy. Using the exact words the Chancellor used, just bring that up here. In his introduction, he said the most important objective for the UK right now is stability. And in his own words, and I'm paraphrasing, he says, growth requires confidence and stability, and this, as a result, requires tough decisions. And it makes you really think that, only a few weeks ago, look, you don't need to be, to be super smart to know that growth actually requires confidence and stability and all these things. These are things that I'm sure even you and I would know at the very basic level. So, why all this emergency this, emergency that, all this knee-jerking, all this firefighting? What is all this stuff about that's been happening in the last few weeks? Okay? And he took the markets reacting and the international community reacting and essentially looking at the UK as though we actually don't know what we're doing. He took that happening for these decisions to begin to get reversed. For the government, the Bank of England, and all these other, the OBR, to start to actually communicate. It really does make you think and wonder how the decisions of a handful of people can have such a huge impact on millions and millions of people. Further, the Chancellor said the commitment is to find savings, to get debt falling, and there'll be further cuts expected in public spending and the like. Okay. And then the final thing I wanted to mention here is stamp duty. Again, that decision was made previously. It would appear obviously to support the property market in the UK, and that decision has not been reversed. So in summary, the only things that were not reversed from the previous mini budget, which seemed at the time had huge question marks over it, and obviously I covered that in a previous video. The only things that did not get reversed are the national insurance decision as well as the stamp duty decision. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments, because I've just been so annoyed with what's been going on. It just seems like there's no day that we're not firefighting in some capacity in this country, and the people who are supposed to be making responsible decisions in our country are not quite doing that. And guess who's paying for it? We are paying for it, And all you see is this person's become this role. People just keep getting shifted around and taking on supposed roles of responsibility. But it'd be very good to hear from you guys in the comments. What do you guys think about what's going on? What do you think about the new announcements that have been made? These appear to have been received well by the markets, but what do you guys think? Jump in the comments and let us know. In terms of what should I do next sort of decision, obviously the next big decision is to wait for the Bank of England to see what follows with interest rates. I think with all the uncertainties, it would be quite safe to actually stay put and just wait. Okay, If you can obviously, from a mortgage perspective, get yourself onto a fixed rate, as I've been going on about in previous videos, it would make sense from a budgeting perspective to get on and actually do that if you can get a mortgage product with your existing provider, because the mortgage market's a complete mess at the moment. But staying put and keeping an eye on what's happening is definitely a wise decision. And don't forget that inflation remains a big problem, and that should really have been a big consideration and a big focus for all of us in terms of getting inflation down, rather than the big catastrophe we've been facing in the last couple of weeks. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll look out for your comments below and respond. Take care.